You know the feeling's right. I wanna take you home tonight, so you can meet my dog called Rex, and then we'll have sex, 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 sex. Sex, 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 sex. You're looking good to me. At least what body parts I can see. We watch a movie, it has special effects, and then we'll have sex, 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 sex. Sex, 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 sex. I like your car, it's really neat. I especially like the back seats. Then we'll all hit the decks, and then we'll have sex, 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 sex. Sex, 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 sex. Is this intelligence that I see? You know, it's really scaring me. Stop making things so complex, and then we'll have romance, glorious romance. Nah. Sex, 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 sex. 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 Sex, 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 sex.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great talent of Mary. Give her another round of applause. And she deserves it. It is very hard to start a show. In fact, I was reluctant to come up here first. That's why we asked her to do it, and she did it in much better style than I could ever hope to do. My name is Mike Bailey, ladies and gents, and it's my pleasure, my privilege tonight to be your host, to fill in the gaps, so to speak, between the real talents that make up Australia's songwriting community. It's particularly great to be able to do it tonight because we are, to some extent, celebrating a very special occasion. This is the 30th year of the Australian Songwriters Association. Congratulations to all involved. The fact that it's continued for 30 years is, of course, a great tribute to so many people who've worked so long and so hard in so many different ways to make it happen. It's also the 29th presentation of the Australian Songwriting Awards that, of course, we've gathered here tonight to actually engage in and present. It's a pretty exciting night all round. By the way, talking of the 30th anniversary of the association as we are, you might have noticed when the lights were a little brighter than they are right now that we have quite a deal of green in the room. Your program, for example, is green. Likewise, the sheet of raffle and auction items is green, and the monitors quite often flash up in green as they are at the moment. And there's a reason for that, because green is emerald. And of course, 30th emerald anniversary. For those who've been married that long, I think you know what it's like. Well, you know what the anniversary is like anyway, I hope. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, it is a great privilege and pleasure to be here tonight, to be able to be part of this, because I'm not talented in the same way as so many people that I'll introduce to you tonight, but of course, like so many others in this great country, I have heard the output from our songwriters, and I've been very pleased with what I've heard. I mentioned a moment ago about the people who've worked very long and very hard to keep the Australian Songwriters Association alive and, of course, to see it prosper. And tonight, first up, I would like to introduce someone who certainly fits that category. He is indeed a great contributor to this industry. Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the ASA, Mr. Denny Burgess.
Thanks, Mike. The Australian Songwriters Association is 30. Can you believe that? And they said we never last. We at the ASA would like to throw a party for our 30th birthday, and we'd like to invite all you guys to be a part of it. And there's no better party theme than sex and drugs and rock and roll. Not for a music organisation anyway, yeah. So Mary has already started the night off, and she's got the first equation in hand. And and didn't she do well, Mary? Another big hand for Mary, please, everybody. Fantastic. She's going to go a long way, that girl. Absolutely. Okay. And we've got to thank Mary for getting the night off to what we call a big bang. Okay? And right now, we're going to address the next equation, and that is the drugs part. Now, all very tricky subject, okay? And at the ASA, we can't condone using illicit substances of any nature. But tonight, I think we'll be covered by the alcohol factor, okay? The alcohol factor. So get yourselves a drink, and it's your drug of choice for the night, and you can charge your glasses, and then you've got to stay around and listen to the rock and roll. And, of course, rock and roll these days is a euphemism for all things music. Everybody says rock and roll, and that's all things music. And we've got a lot of all sorts of music tonight, believe me. So we've got the ingredients, we've got the sex, we've got the drugs, we've got the rock and roll. So we're going to party and party hard later on, okay? Now, for sure. Look, now, I was just going to tell you about the other day. I just overheard my 9-year-old son, Cole, and he was humming and singing a familiar song. And that's while he was zapping aliens and humans alike on his space. What do you call it? On his PlayStation. That's it, PlayStation. Gee, I must be getting old. I can't think of that. But on further investigation and talking to him, I found out that he couldn't tell me how he came to know the song that I hadn't heard in about 35 to 40 years. And we were talking about it, and I think it was a John Lennon penned Beatles song, which went way, way back. And he didn't know how he picked it up. But what he did say to me, as at the end of the conversation, he said, "But Dad, it's a great song, though." And then it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I thought that great songs, they stick around for a long, long time. And they're like precious paintings. They last forever. But they last a good deal longer than their creators, albeit Mr. Lennon. He's gone from us. We've also got, what about the classical dudes like Chopin and Bach and Beethoven, etc., etc.? They're a couple of 100 years dead, but I'll bet you that any moment of any given day, their movements or their pieces are played or listened to by someone somewhere in the world. So they're still going. But also, what about the classic hits? Classic hits radio stations. They produce music that we all know and love, but some of their songwriters that all that music comes from, they're no longer around either. So there you go.